interview room is literally like a bank. You know, when you go to the bank, how they are different. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you tips that you need to know in order for you to ace your interview. So the first thing is to pray if you are religious. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is that you need to be able to practice. And on the day of the interview, if you have been scheduled to take your interview at a specific time, which of course if you have paid your MRV fee and you have booked an interview date, you obviously know when you're going to be showing up in person at the consulate's office to be interviewed. So as you know, when you are to show up at the consulate's office to be interviewed, make sure that you show up on time. And so you're not being late. Make sure that you show up on time, especially if you live further away from the embassy. Make sure that if it's possible for you to get somewhere closer to the embassy, that you can live. I know people who live out of the cities in which their embassies are located, but they do either travel in a day before, 2 days before, and things like that. Make sure that you familiarize yourself with where the embassy is located and be on time. Don't be late. Make sure you show up earlier than your appointment time, because there are some procedures and protocols that you need to follow before you get into the interview room to be interviewed. So be on time, don't be late. I would advise that you leave home or make sure you commute to the destination maybe 2 or 3 hours before it's time for your interview. That way you don't get there in a rush. Remember that when you're late, there's something that lateness does to you. Like, it makes you very disorganized. It makes you just all over the place. Imagine you already being scared and then being late on top. It's gonna mess you up. So make sure that you show up on time and you show up very early when you have to do that. So the next thing that you want to think about is to make sure that you have every required documents that you need to show up at the interview. And so essentially speaking, there are some required documents that you need to show up for the interview with. And so you're going to need your passports, which of course should have at least 6 months validity, and the passport should not be expired before the time that you arrive at the interview. You should also have your MRV receipt. Remember, when you paid for your visa fee, they issued you a receipt. You should have your service fee receipt as well if you have that, and then you should have your DS-160 printed with the barcode on it. Remember, the barcode is going to be scanned at the embassy, so you should have the DS-160 with the correct barcode. Make sure everything is filled correctly and make sure that you have every right information on that. You should also have 2 passport size US size required photos, and for the US size required photos, they are not like the normal photos, the passport size photos that you can take everywhere. There are specific places that you can take these kind of photos, and there's a specific requirements, and so make sure that you check onto the embassy's website for that. And don't forget that you need to have your form I-20, which is the most important thing that you need to show to the visa officer. You should also have your financial or bank statements that you will be showing to prove funds, and also if there's any other documents that you feel like would improve on your case. So this can be any other document. If you're making a case or making a statement, any letter of sponsorship, any scholarship letter, any even if it's just an email or a text, anything to prove or to improve on your case, please don't forget to take it. And so these are essentially the 7 things, and any other additional documents that you think. If you're married, your marriage certificate. If you have a business, your business certificate, your basic school education certificate, whatever that you need that would improve on your case, please don't leave them at home. Please make sure that you have checked prior before the interview day and you have all those documents. Also, if you have all these documents should be organized, and so you can get a little clear bag or whatever it is, so that you can have with you to go into the interview. Remember, there are no bags allowed in the interview room, and so if you carry a bag with you, you might want to leave it somewhere, which of course there are places that you can leave your bags and other things around the embassy, which is going to cost you an arm and a leg. It's not cheap to even sit over there at the embassy if you want to go there to sit, because people are also doing their own business over there. So remember that you have everything on you, especially for all the documents that you have to print out, all the required photo size that you need to have. If you were to take a photo near the embassy, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, very, very expensive. So make sure you have all those things prior to the day for your interview. I think that another thing that you need to do is to make sure that you dress confidently. And I've heard so many myths, I've heard so many stories about people claiming that they wore a suit and they were approved. I've heard people say that they wore African prints and they were approved because the videos like African prints and things like that. All those things, in my opinion, are fallacies, fads, and lies. It might be true, it might have worked for one or two people, but I believe that the best way to dress for this interview is to feel very comfortable, especially for the guys. If you this is not the appropriate space for you to wear a business casual suit, or like for you to be dressed like you're going for some executive meeting or whatever. Just wear anything that you feel will make you feel very confident and comfortable. Remember, you might already be having some kind of butterflies in your tummy, and so dressing inappropriately could add to your stress. So for the guys, make sure you wear something simple, something comfortable. For the ladies, this is not where you have to wear your 6-inch heel or your 4-inch heel or whatever. Wear anything that you feel will make you feel comfortable. There's no required dress code, and I don't think that there's any dress code that somebody would say that, oh, I wore this and I was approved because of that. If you get complimented on the way you look, it might be because the person likes it, but not because the person is going to approve you because you're wearing something. So just remember to dress confidently and comfortably. Don't add to your stress by wearing something that you're going to feel uncomfortable in. I remember in my case, I just wore a dress and a sandal, and I had my clear bag, and I was very simple. I didn't want to add to my stress because, well, I was already stressed. So yeah, so make sure you dress comfortably. Make sure that you mind your business and be in your lane. I can bet you that the embassy is the most tensious place that you could ever go to. I don't know about if other people feel comfortable being there, but I never felt comfortable being there because of one, I don't know, maybe if it was because of the people that were there, because there were a lot of people there, and there was something that made me feel very sick when I got there, especially even with the ways in which you're going to be organized, ushered by the policeman, go through security and things like that. Whoa, I was already drained. And so I think it's it's very stressful to be there. So make sure that you are comfortable, make sure that you are minding your business. Don't listen to what other people are saying. Don't listen to what other, it's like going to write an exam and you have people who are already prepared and rattling their answers and making you feel like, I've not learned anything. No, just mind your business and be in your lane. Just pray in your head. Whatever you've done, make sure that you trust God to take you through the process successfully. And so don't be scared about what other people are saying, what the right answer is, and things like that. Just focus. Don't be distracted by anything. And also remember that in the visa interview room, it's very, very scary there because you can literally hear people being denied, you can hear people being approved, you can hear people doing all sorts of things. And I remember some funny story during my time when I went for the interview. I saw like everybody was just quiet and it was just weird. People were just sitting down. Oh my God, this is how our lives will be. Like, this visa is basically determining people's lives because people were just quiet, people were weird, and there were people who were genuinely in the queue. They could hear the videos denying people, and so they had to say that they were going to the bathroom, came back to join other queues to go to other videos and things like that. You can literally hear people being denied. You can see the video that's being mean. You can hear videos talking loudly. You can hear people answering and things like that. And so that is already a lot of stress. And so you want to mind your business. You want to just be in your lane, be praying and things like that. I remember when it was my turn to be interviewed, there was this guy that was standing before me, and I remember there were 3 videos whose window were open. So picture this, the visa tellers and how there's a security that ushers people to maybe teller A, teller B, teller C. That's how the visa interview was. So I remember when it got to my turn, there was this guy that was standing right in front of me, and the guy that was standing in front of the guy that was standing in front of me went to one particular view and was denied. And so now the next person that was going to be interviewed was one lady, and I saw the lady was approving people. So there was another VO who was a male that was also ready to receive people. So I think the guy that was standing before me wanted to go to the lady, but I'd also wanted to go to the lady because I felt drawn or attracted to her. So I quickly tapped on him and I was like, hey, the other VO is calling you. So he went there, and I don't know what happened to him, but I went to the female VO. I had a good time. We had a conversation. She literally asked me just 2 questions, and I got approved. And so, again, it's not anything that I did. I know that it was just by the grace of God, but I think that this is no way you should add anybody's stress to your stress and be more stressed about the process because it's already stressful. So mind your business, be in your lane, make sure that you're communicating clearly and concisely. So if you're being asked a question, if it's a yes, it's a yes. If it's a no, it's a no. Make sure that you also provide every information that the VO will need. Don't give them room to ask you follow-up questions. If they ask you why are you here and you know you're here to be interviewed for a visa, just say that and add maybe the institution which you're going to. Don't wait for them to ask you follow-up questions and things like that. And so if you do that, I believe you're going to have a smooth interview. And also, I think that most people do forget that this is a human interaction, right? And this is a conversation between you and the visa officer. In as much as they determine whether you're approved or denied, they're human beings and they have senses, they're human beings. And so I know you have practiced, I know you have rehearsed your answers and things like that, but don't take away the conversation approach from it. Don't make it feel like you're there to rattle your answers and give them what you have to say and go. Just make it a very interesting human interaction, a very interesting communication experience. Talk and make sure you're talking to them as human beings and not like a robot or maybe like an AI which you want to give all your answers to and run away. Remember, they're human beings and they want to get to know you in that 2 or 3 minutes period that you were there. So make sure you do that. I think the other thing that you need to do is also to just take your time. Take your time with everything. Just don't be in a rush. Like I said before, practice beforehand. Make sure you practice with your friends, buddies. Join mock interviews if there are any that you know about. Make sure that you have people who are helping you shape and also help you to put up your answers in the right way so that you're able to communicate in the right way. I think that the other thing that you also need to do is to, I don't think that sometimes even if you're being denied, okay, here is the thing, even if you're being denied, make sure that you give yourself some time to try again. I would advise against just trying immediately after you're denied. That kind of proves desperation, and it kind of gives them the sense that you're really desperate to do this. But even if you're denied, make sure you take some time to make sure that you work on yourself. Again, it means that you have to pay attention. So pay attention to the questions that you're asked, pay attention to your responses. Sometimes someone asks you a question and your response might put them off a little bit and you might sense that. And so pay attention to the questions that you are asked. Listen carefully before you answer questions. If you don't understand, make sure that you ask for clarity, but don't do that too many times. That proves that you don't know the answer to the question. So pay attention and make sure that you know which questions you are asking, which questions you are answering. And even if you are denied, you might be able to get a sense of what went wrong, because you might not be told what went wrong and why you're being denied. Even if you ask the visa officer, they might not share. It's just a general response that they give to people who are denied, and so they might not tell you why you are denied, but I'm sure that there might be some kind of, like, if you're paying attention, you will know what went wrong, and so you might work towards that the next time you want to get ready for your interview again. And I think that these are essentially the things that I want to talk about today. If you're being approved, things like that, but if there are additional details that you want to provide to them, you can do that. But I'm sure after you hear you are approved, there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of euphoria and things like that, and I understand that. I know that I've been there, and I remember when I heard you are approved, I didn't hear anything else. I just quickly walked out and that was it for me. So even if you're approved, I know you're going to be so excited, you might not pay attention, but if there are any pressing questions that you need to ask the video before you exit the window, please do so. And with that being said, I'm not going to get tired of stressing on the fact that you need to pray. This is not something that is just, sometimes, like I said, sometimes it might be vibes, you know. Sometimes you might not be vibing well with the video. Sometimes they might be having a bad day. Sometimes they might be just having a rough time at work. Sometimes they might not be themselves, and so the things in which they go through influences the decisions they make. And so you might not want to fall a victim to somebody whose colleague has annoyed them because they didn't get wache to eat or anything like that. Please pray. Don't take anything lightly. Pray. We're not wrestling against flesh and blood. If you're a Christian, you know that. And so please pray, and I'm sure that God will see you through. I can't wait to hear your visa story. And if you have been approved, you're watching this video and you want to share your interview story with me, please feel free. I can schedule some time and we can come on live and share our stories. Remember, we are trying to get so many people to join us here as much as possible through our stories. And so please make sure that if you're approved and you have any tips you want to share with people, please comment below. If you were denied, it's not the end of the world. We can try again. I know people who have tried so many times. We can do this. It's possible. Don't give up. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please make sure that you send me a message in my inbox. Please like the video, subscribe, give it a thumbs up so that it will be recommended to other people. And I can't wait to hear that you have been approved and you're on your way here. So please make sure that you do your best and God will do the rest. So see you in my next video.